Hello, my name is Mark, and today I'm going to be going over solving/rearranging formulas. I don't want to do an intro. All I have for you is make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, here we go. Blank slide. Here is a quick intro. Rearranging formulas means isolating a target variable. To do that, we simplify first. Then use inverse operations to undo whatever is attached to that variable. The question to ask is, what is blocking the variable I want? And what is the cleanest opposite operation I could do next? The goal is to isolate letters using clean algebra moves.
Whatever I do on one side, I do to the other side.
I hope that makes sense. Okay, now let's move on to the main moves. Undo addition. M plus 9 equals 13. Subtract 9 from both sides to isolate m, and it will look like this. Okay, I have it here already, but it will look like this. M plus 9 equals 13. And then minus 9, minus 9. And then what is 13 minus 9? Well, that is 4. And then we go m equals 4. Okay, so what we do is we cancel out the 9, and then we just perform this operation here. And remember, what we do on this side, we must do on this side. Okay, so let's look at undo subtraction. M minus 9 equals 13. Okay, M minus 9 equals 13 this time. And then we add 9 to both sides to isolate M. Okay. Look at that. What we do on this side, we must do on this side of the equal sign. Okay, that's what I mean by that. And then we cancel the terms out. We're left with m equals, and this is 22. Do you see the difference in the numbers, in the values? Okay, big difference there. You could make a mistake and you could get a different number, and that's why you have to be careful. Okay, so we have undo addition and undo subtraction. Let's move on to undo multiplication and undo division. So we have 9m equals 13. So to isolate the m, we must divide 9 from both sides. Okay, and that looks like this. 9m equals 13, and then divide by 9, divide by 9, and then you see here, 9 divided by 9, right? It looks like this, actually. 9 divided by 9, and then you could have this multiply. I hate when it does that. It makes a star. And then times m, right? Equals 13 over 9, because what we do on this side, we must do on this side. Okay, 9 divided by 9. What is anything divided by itself equal? Well, that equals 1. So then this actually becomes, okay, we could cancel that out. 1 times m equals 13 over 9. And what is 1 times m? Just m. So that's why it becomes just m equals 13 over 9. Okay, that's what's actually happening. Again, I would never do that. Okay, I'm just showing you the bare bones, what's happening and why it's like that. All right, so then let's just go back over here. We could cancel this out. We get m equals 13 over 9, and then we change it to the proper way. And then how many times can 9 go into 13? Well, it can go in there 1 time. And then what we're left with is 4. And then we just keep the denominator 4 over 9. Okay? Or you could keep it as an improper fraction, 13 over 9, whatever you want, okay? It really depends on what you're doing too. So it'll make sense when it happens. And then undo division. What is the opposite of division? Well, the opposite of division is multiplication. So let's go try this out. I like doing multiplication when I have a division. Okay, I just like canceling out the fraction. I get super happy when that happens. So m over 9, right, equals 13. And what I'm going to do is the opposite, which is multiply. So I'm going to put a 9 over here, and then I'm going to put a 9 over here. And what's happening over here? So let me just break out my eraser, erase this up top here, and show you. So what I mean by multiply by each side, okay, let's just start with this side right here. And I go 9, and then we have m over 9, okay? So what I did was I could do this and then just go m equals 13 times 9, and then 13 times 9 equals 117. Master Chief, okay? But this is what's happening, okay? Well, we have this 9, and it's multiplied by m over 9, right? So we go 9, and then I'm going to just like do this, okay? 9 over 1, okay? Times m over 9. Well, what does that equal, right? We've watched, or you've watched, the 20 skills you need to know before the test. And you know, when you multiply across, or multiply fractions, you just multiply across. So we get 9m over 9, and then these cancel out, right? Because 9 divided by 9 just equals m, right? You're tracking. You get it. Okay, that's it. I like this. I like canceling out the fractions. Okay, next move, clear the denominator. So solve for m, and we have m over k plus 5 equals 13. So we need to isolate the m, okay? And in order to do that, we must clear the denominator. So I would treat this k plus 5, as one term, okay? It's just like putting k plus 5, and then we're going to say k plus 5 equals v, right? And then we have m over, and then v, because v equals k plus 5, equals 13. And to cancel out the v, we just need to multiply by v. So multiply by v, multiply v on the other side, because what we do on one side, we must do to the other. And then these cancel out, and we're left with m equals 13, and then v. And then I could put the whatever v equals in the equation, right? And then k plus 5, okay? I just did it the algebra way, okay? Here's the long form way, which all I'm going to do is start with k plus 5, okay? So I'm going to erase everything. And then I'm going to start with m, and then k plus 5 equals 13. And why I chose v is because I just was too lazy to write k plus 5 on each side. So you must multiply by k plus 5, and then multiply k plus 5 on the other side, and these cancel each other out. And then you're left with m equals 13 k plus 5. Okay? And then you could distribute and go on with the equation, but we're not going to go that far. We're just going to teach you, or I'm just going to teach you how to clear the denominator. And you just need to clear the denominator by multiplying by the same number, or whatever the term is. Okay? You saw the example v divided by v, right? And now you got k plus 5 on this side, and you just cancel it out. That's all you do. Okay? Next move, distribute only when needed. All right, we start with this, and we distribute the C1 to the J2, and then to the C2. This was on practice test 3. And when we do that, we're left with C1J2 plus C1C2 minus C1J2. And then why we did that is to cancel out this negative C1J2 and this positive C1J2. Cancel those out, and then we're left with just C1C2. And distributing helps because opposite terms cancel. And then this is the simplified form of this right here. Okay? Now let's go on to some practice. Some practice before we hit the main questions. So isolate the variable m from the formulas. Okay, so we start out with a equals mh, and then we need to isolate the variable m. So we need m by itself. Okay, so all we're gonna do with this is m times h. So we just divide by h, cancels out this h on this side, and then we're left with m equals a over h. Okay? Simple, easy. This m equals a over h is the same as a over h equals m. Okay, I just like to write it like this, where the variable, the target variable, is on the left side. All right, so for this one, the first thing I would do is I would minus 7 from both sides. Okay, so we're left with y minus 7 equals 3m. Okay, that's 3 times m. And then I would divide by 3, and these would cancel out, and divide this by 3. This is like one term, okay? Y minus 7 divide by 3, and then equaling m. Write it cleanly. I get m equals y minus 7 divided by 3. Easy. Okay. Then we get q equals 5 over m. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply, right? I'm going to multiply the m, and these cancel out. And I must do this on the other side, multiply by m, and I'm left with q m equals 5. And I'm going to divide by q. These cancel out. And then I'm left with m equals 5 over q. Easy. Okay? This one's a little hard. I first am going to minus, that's an L, okay? Minus 2L from both sides. And we're left with P minus 2L equals 2M. And I'm going to just put a little line over there. Okay, that is an L, okay? And then I'm going to divide by 2, divide everything by 2, and this is what I'm left with, okay? Sometimes I don't even write the whole equation. I just, on the test, I would just box this up in my notes and then pick the right answer, right? I won't rewrite it. So P minus 2L over 2 is the final, is where I isolate the variable m. My gosh, that was hard. Okay, this one, E. A equals BM divided by 2. The first thing I would do is clear the fraction. So I am going to multiply by 2. Then we're left with 2A equals BM. Divide by B, and this is M isolated. 2A over B equaling M. All right. We are tracking. Are we tracking? This one's a little hard. Okay, W equals MX plus 4 in parentheses minus 3M. Okay, so how I would do this, okay? The first thing that someone might do is distribute, right? But that's actually wrong, okay? You need to learn how to factor. This is also written like this. W equals, you have M, X plus 4, and then plus M, and then negative 3 in parentheses. Now, do you see what's going on here? We have X plus 4, and we have negative 3 in parentheses. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out an M. So this is W equals M, and then I'm going to put this in brackets, X plus 4 minus 3. And then I'm going to solve. So let's just do this right here. And I'm going to go W equals M brackets, and then X. What is 4, positive 4 minus 3? That's 1 plus 1. And then I am going to divide X plus 1, divide X plus 1, and this is M isolated. These cancel each other out. And then what we're left with is W over X plus 1. Okay? This was a little hard because you needed to know to factor. Okay? Now that I have gotten over all that, let's go ahead and go on to the questions. Question number 1. Isolate the variable A. All right? The first thing that I am going to do is I am going to distribute the A to the parentheses, okay? So then we have M equals AB plus AC, okay? I distributed the A, and then I'm going to write out the rest of the problem. And what's the first thing that you see here? What is the thing you see here? Well, we have a positive AB and we have a negative AB, and these can cancel each other out. Okay? And then what we're left with is M equals AC divided by C minus 2. And what I am going to do here is I'm going to multiply by C minus 2, because what I want to do is cancel out the denominators, or the denominator. And then what I do on this side, I must do on this side. So I need to multiply C minus 2. Okay? And then what we're left with is M C minus 2 equals AC. And then to isolate the A, we just need to divide by C. Divide all this by C. Cancel it out. And then what we're left with is A equals M parentheses C minus 2 parentheses, and then divide by C. This is the final answer, isolating for A. Okay? Perfect. All right. Question number 2. Isolate the variable R. So then what I'm going to do first is I'm going to clear the denominator. Right? Clear the denominator. And then that's multiplied by R. And then what I do on this side, I must do on this side. Multiply R. And then I get TR equals 4R plus 8. Now what I want to do is get the R's together. Okay? So what I'm going to do first is minus 4R, minus 4R. And then what I'm left with is TR minus 4R. Okay? And then equals 8. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the R. Okay? I'm going to factor out the R, which leaves me R and then T minus 4 equaling 8. And then from here, it's really easy. All we're going to do is divide by T minus 4 to each side, isolating the R. Cancel this out, and then what we're left with is just this. Okay? On the test, this is exactly how my notes, my scratch paper will be like. Okay? I won't rewrite it. For you, I'll rewrite it, but I would never rewrite it. There's no point. Okay? Unless you're like submitting homework or something, you're using my material as homework and your teacher or instructor tells you to box the answer, make it look nice. This is how I would do it. Okay, this is how you would do it. But on the test with scratch paper, this is fine. Pick the right answer and move on. Okay, the skill here is to really collect the R terms, to factor out the R. That's the hard skill that you will learn from this video. But you are armed. You are armed. Okay? You are, congratulate yourself for watching because you know how to do this now. Okay. Question 3. Isolate the variable p. Okay, the first thing I would do, I would clear the denominator. Okay, I've received lots of feedback that there are lots of fractions. So that's why I have lots of fractions on my questions. Okay, so I multiplied 5 to each side. So I would cancel the 5s out, leaving me with k, or I'm going to put 5k, and this is just 5 times k, equals 3p plus 2q. Okay, that's a q. I'm going to put a little whatever this is on the q. Okay, and we're going to isolate for p. So what I'm going to do next is minus 2q, minus 2q. And then what I'm left with is 5k minus 2q equals 3p. And then I'm going to divide 3, canceling the 3's out on the right side, and then putting the 3 here, dividing it by here, and nothing else can happen. I can't do anything else. So what I'm left with is p equals 5k minus 2q over 3. Box that up, and you're good to go. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Just kidding. Question number 4. All right. So the first 3 questions were easy. Okay. I don't expect you to struggle on those. Now this one, you will develop many skills. I have forced it upon you to practice many skills. So we need to isolate the variable b given these 2 equations. X equals this monster of an equation, and then we're going to plug in this q inside this equation after we simplify, right? We must simplify first. So let's begin. X equals, and I will write it all down, x equals 5c minus 4 plus n minus 5c plus 20 all over pi, and I don't even want to write the denominator, okay? Not yet. So what I do for the numerator, and I'm just going to clear out this x just to not confuse you guys. So 5c minus 4, and then I could distribute the 5 to the c minus 4. So I'm going to do that first. 5c minus, what is 5 times negative 4? That is negative 20. Plus n minus 5c plus 20. Okay? And first glance, what can I do? Well, we have a positive 5c and we have a negative 5c. We could cancel these terms out. And then also, we have a negative 20 and a positive 20. Cancel these out. And we're just left with n on the numerator. So it's n and then pi over 4q. Okay? We're not done simplifying yet. Okay? What can this turn into? Or what's the equivalent to this? Well, the equivalent, and I actually want to write this right here so I have more space. And then we could solve it. So the equivalent of this, right? The equivalent of this is n and then divide by 4, or not 4, pi 4q. Well, remember, keep, change, and flip. Well, we will keep the n, we will change the sign, and then we will flip the fraction. Now, what is n times 4q? That is 4qn, and I'm actually going to write it as 4nq, okay, over pi. And this is our fully simplified first equation. We fully simplified the first equation, and this is x equals. Okay, now I could plug in this q. So I am going to put this right here, x equals 4nq over pi. And then I'm just going to erase everything so we could substitute the q for the equation, for the second equation that we have. All right, so I could plug in the q, and then let's go ahead and do that. 4n, and then q equals 3b plus a over pi, everything over pi. And I need to isolate this b, okay? So the first thing I would do is I would cancel out the denominators, okay? Do you see a pattern here? I'm getting rid of the denominators first, all the time, okay? Clear the fractions, guys. You have to clear the fractions. And then you could just do this, and then we're left with x pi equals 4n, and then 3b plus a. Now, the thing about this is I have the target variable in the parentheses. So in this case, I have to distribute, okay? So I'm going to go x pi equals, and then what is 4n times 3b? Well, that equals 12, because 4 times 3 is 12, and then we have the variables n, b, and then I multiply this 4n by the a, giving me 4na. Okay? So what I am going to do next is I'm going to minus this 4na minus 4na, giving me x pi minus 4na equals 12 nb. And I need to isolate this. So what I would do next is I would divide everything by 12n, and then divide all this by 12n. And I have my answer right here. This is my answer. All right, I cancel that out, and this is my answer. And I'll rewrite that for you at the top so you could see. And here we go. B equals x pi minus 4na over 12n. And this is our simplified and isolated equation for B. Okay? That was a monster. Okay? That was a monster. Let's go ahead and go on to question 5. And question 5 is not that bad. Okay? Let's take a break from the hard stuff. W equals 5t, and I'm going to already distribute, plus 5r minus 2t. What can I do from here? Well, I could combine the 5t and the minus 2t. That's going to give me w equals 3t plus 5r. And I'm isolating for the variable t, so I am going to minus 5r first, minus 5r, right? And you see here, I want to do it the wrong way just to show you that you need to minus the 5r first. So I can't just divide everything by 3. Okay, if I do that, okay, it's going to look like this. W equals 3t over 3 plus 5r over 3. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's just try it out. These cancel each other out. And remember, I have to do this on this side too as well. And then I get w over 3 equals t plus 5r, and then 5r divided by 3. Does that actually work? This might actually work. And then I'm going to minus that. So let's go ahead and try this out. And this might work. Minus 5r over 3 minus 5r over 3. And then I'm going to just write it all out. So w over 3 minus 5r over 3 equaling t. And that might work. Holy crap. Okay, you just have to follow the order of operations, and one of the golden rules is what you do on one side, you must do on the other. So since the denominators are the same, I could go w minus 5r over 3 equaling t. Now, I don't know if that's the right answer. Let me do it how you're supposed to do it, okay? I think I got the right answer. Okay? It doesn't matter again, the golden rule, what you do on one side, you must do to the other. So let me just go ahead and do this real quick, do the math. Plus 5r minus 2t, giving me 3t plus 5r equaling w minus 5r minus 5r, w minus 5r equaling 3t, divide by 3, giving me this w minus 5r over 3 and w over 5r minus 3. Nice. Okay, I showed you two ways you could get where you could get the same equation isolating the variable t. Okay, perfect. Question number 5, complete. And I hope you felt good about this one, because question number 6. Oh my gosh. Even I had trouble with this one. I have over, I think, 4 pages of notes on this. Yeah, here we go, guys. Here we go. This will teach you many skills. Honestly, I could have just made this the only question you needed for this topic, for solving / rearranging formulas, because you're going to be practicing everything, every skill possible on this question. Okay, let's begin. So we have I, double I, and triple I. And I need to put double I into I and then triple I into I after simplifying many times. So let's proceed. Question number 6. This is like the 5th redo because I keep making mistakes. And here's the thing, folks, even I will make mistakes. So let's go ahead and do it. A equals 4kx plus 2. What I would do first is I would distribute this 4k, okay? Giving me 8 equals 4kx plus 8k minus 8k, everything over x minus 1. And then I have a positive 8k and a negative 8k. These could cancel each other out, giving me a equals 4kx over x minus 1. Now I want to clear this denominator, and in order to do that, I must multiply it by x minus 1. And what I do on that side, I must do on this side. Cancel these out, and I get a x minus 1 equaling 4kx. Now, since my k is right here and I want to substitute it for this k, I am going to divide by x. Divide by x, canceling these x's out, giving me a x minus 1 over x equaling 4k. And I'm going to plug in this k over here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm left with 8, or not 8, a x minus 1 over x equaling 4, and then 3r plus m over 5, okay? And then I'm going to distribute that 4 to the parentheses, okay? Distribute it. Giving me a x minus 1 over x equaling 12r plus 4m over 5. And then what I'm going to do is cross multiply, okay? Cross multiply, giving me 5, and I'm going to put this in brackets, a x minus 1 equaling x 12 r plus 4m, okay? And then I'm going to distribute. And then what I'm left with is 5a x minus 1 equaling 12xr plus 4xm, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I am going to plug in the r variable now. I'm going to plug in the equation into r, okay? So 5a x minus 1 equals 12, and then x, and then r is 2m minus 7, and then plus 4xm, okay? And then I get 5a, and I'm going to distribute this 12x. 5a x minus 1 equals, and then I get 24xm, because 12 times 2 is 24, and then the x and the m just get carried over, minus, and then 12 times 7 is 84, and that's x, plus 4xm. Now, the 24xm and the 4xm can be combined. So let's simplify further. 5a x minus 1 equals 28xm minus 84x. And remember, we need to isolate for the m. So let's go ahead and do that. Plus 84x plus 84x. And let's just erase this so we have more room. And then we're left with 5a x minus 1 plus 84x equaling 28. And that is xm. And then what I'm going to do next is divide by 28x. Divide everything by 28x. Giving me this right here is the right answer, folks. My gosh, that took me forever. And let's just make sure that is right. 5a x minus 1 plus 84x over 28x. There you have it, folks. That's the right answer. That was hard. Okay, it took me like 5 tries to get this. All right, this is isolating for m. Okay, and let me just erase this all at the top so you could see the full equation isolating for m. And I'm going to write this in orange. M equals 5a x minus 1 plus 84x over 28x. My gosh, you can distribute and get 5ax minus 5a, but it doesn't matter because nothing can be combined. Okay, this would be an instance where you don't have to distribute this portion. Okay, so there you have it. Question 6 is complete. And I have here question 7. And what I want you to do is screenshot this, figure this out, solve it on your own, and then write the answer choice in the comments. All right, that's a challenge question for you. Or just don't do it because not everyone does it. But I encourage you to do it, okay? I encourage you to do this problem. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys. Markyfbaby out. I will see you on the next episode. Bye.